Hey guys. Oh, Nico. What's up? Max, give me 5. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay, so we're ready today for a great shootings and video Zoom call with Jason.
Keely.
All right,
Ireland.
let's go. How many advertisements we can do here?
8 from one side.
8 from one side. Here we go. Follow me. Hello, ladies. It's one of my favorite restaurants in Shanghai, where inside it you still have an elevator as well. I think Schindler did a very nice job here. Look, by the way, they have a projector here. Look. You see? Using small projector here to project on this wall, but it's a bit small and tiny, not suitable for advertising. Up. Okay, let's go. Okay, Jason, good morning to you. Good morning from Shanghai. Back to you to Ireland. Happy to see you. You are looking great. And here I am. You see, I'm in the bar, ready for our great conversation. Max, Nico is here. Hey, Max, Nico, say hello to Jason. Yeah.
Hi guys.
Yeah.
Good to
So
see you.
we are trying to make our Zoom videos sessions in a very nice environment and make comfortable as well for all our participants to feel the great vibes and to learn, of course, about our business, about what we are doing. And thank you very much for your time, your morning time, and your great arrangements for this amazing video. First time we met each other in 2020 at ISE in Amsterdam. It was actually the first year where Eastidea as a company has exposed our new products for in-elevators advertising. EI Mini Lifter, the short throw production system, advertising production system, and the EI Slim Dual, the Slim Dual screen. And this is where Jason and I and both our teams are clutched each other in terms of how we can make this business go further in Ireland and UK, and we decided to start and launch our cooperation for creating in-elevators and indoor advertising networks in UK and Ireland. And Jason, would you like to spread some few words about yourself, about your company? I think it will be much more powerful on your end than I, even though I can talk about your company is hours and hours. So please feel free to do it. Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Dimitri. It's good to see you guys again, and thanks for all your help and support. Welcome to Ireland. And I thought I would share just a small little, very important, is for a bit of Irish theme.
Yeah. Looks good.
So I suppose a little bit about our business and where we are. I was actually a very late bloomer to the digital out of home industry. Even though my dad, funny enough, was involved in advertising all of his life. So I was surrounded by my dad constantly. Every time we'd speak, he was talking about advertising from when I was 5 and 6 years of age. And he was a very successful account director for a very big agency called Publicis. They managed Alfa Romeo, Heineken brands, and Miele, so very successful big brands. So it was my dad's job to basically relay and communicate brand messaging in a very powerful way to audiences. So he was very passionate about it. So something rubbed off me from when I was a 5 and 6 year old child listening to my dad, I think, about all of these brand communications and the importance of exciting the viewer and the audience with these products and telling a great story. So as I grew up, I basically I worked in various different printing companies. So I served my time as a qualified printer. I started out printing outdoor billboards. So even though I didn't know I was getting into digital out-of-home advertising industry, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, I was printing billboards, like big 20 plus meter billboards, bus advertising, trains, trams. It was endless. And it gave me a good insight into the static outdoor advertising. So from that journey, I then proceeded and I moved into point of sale material, the printing of point of sale. And so that was hanging show cards from ceilings, floor graphics, window vinyls, and it just again, I was getting a great learning experience going from outside advertising to indoor advertising in the retail sector. So it was a very interesting time, even down to producing shelf strips and so on. But one of the big things, and just I don't want to show my age at this stage, is that at that time there was no such thing as digital out of home advertising. It was static. Everything was static. At that stage, mobile phones were only coming to the marketplace. So it was very much a case of mobile phones, and being able to call somebody was new technology. So I suppose what happened 25 years later, all of a sudden we took this big jump, and from 25 years ago, static advertising, indoor and outdoor, the big boy in town was now digital out of home advertising. So you still have the static advertising, you have the digital home advertising, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But for me, one of the big key takeaways, Dimitri, was during this whole experience over my years of printing, is we were putting things like flashing LED lights onto static point of sale. We were putting movement sensors onto window vinyls with MP3 players built into the back of them. So once they identified the movement, it would engage the user, it would engage the audience. Very rudimentary technology. And from all of those years, the only difference now is that's now changed. It's moved now into digital screens, projectors, etc., etc. So it's taken a huge presence in terms of what's happened. So with that in mind, off the back of that, and after working for all of these different companies, I suppose, and seeing what's happened, I set up VSDirect only 5.5 years ago, and I came to the market from a printing background to my clients, saying to my clients, guys, there is many other ways to advertise your message and to communicate to your audience, not just through printing, but through other multi-channel sources, in particular, obviously, digital screens and so on. And today, what's effectively now happened is I suppose digital advertising has now been responsible for nearly 35% of the out-of-home advertising, and that's in Ireland, and in the UK that's jumped to nearly 60% in 2020. Wow. So it's growing at a phenomenal rate. It really is, and because the technology is providing a great roadmap for the consumers. So I suppose in essence where we are now is VSDirect has become a brand and marketing solutions-based business. And what's really important now and today is our clients are saying, how do we best communicate to our clients? How do we show our clients what we do?
Right.
And the realism of that is digital out-of-home experience. It's absolutely fantastic, and it works very, very well to give those clients a wow factor.
Few questions. Well, first of all, I think it's very impressive that you are in industry. I didn't even imagine to myself that you're over 25 years in the advertising industry. It's really impressive. So definitely you see the dramatically changes on the market trends, what people wants to, what kind of advertising people wants to use more. And for me, very exciting because actually you decided to move forward together with us into a very specific niche of advertising is indoor in elevators advertising. And I really appreciate it that you believe in these topics and you push these things forward. And I see this as well. Right now, you're having this interview just inside the elevator. It's really exciting me. It's really it's
Thank
really
you.
great to see this. Yeah. And by the way, I can say that you did a very perfect installation on the back on your back. Actually,
Thank
can you
you.
tell us a bit like, so this is actually the AI mini lifter projector, right? Projecting right now the ads in a loops on the in elevators doors, right? Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct, Dimitri. Yes, exactly.
All right. I see there is a really smooth change of the video contents in betweens, and it really looks awesome. Every time I'm asking myself, uh, how you fast guys, how fast you guys learn to use this technology is really getting me every time super. It makes me exciting because I see the changes. I see how you guys absorbing this information, and I think your company is bringing really innovative way of communication between the brands and the consumers on the go inside the elevators. As far as I know, even if we're just taking the small market as Ireland, I mean, in a let's say in a world scale, of course, Ireland sounds like a small market, but I don't compare big countries to the small countries in terms of the numbers of elevators, because even for the market like Ireland, I think based on the statistics that we have at this moment, there are over 250,000 passengers elevators has been installed, and the numbers are growing. And what I understand as well, that in the current situation, especially what we learned from the previous 2 years of our, let's say, fast activities worldwide, that indoor advertising is getting more and more great power among the advertisers. So, from your opinion, how do you see the market for advertising in elevators advertising for Ireland? Where, let's say, I mean, where is your focus for today when you're extending your advertising networks? Are you moving more to residential areas, or you doing with the, or you building up relations with the business towers, or you work with the, let's say, health and let's say educational centers or institutes? Where do you see, where can you let's say position yourself in terms of go to market with in elevators and indoor advertising? uh, can you please
So yeah,
elaborate a bit? Yeah.
yeah, it's good. It's good. Very good question. And first of all, thank you. We're VSDirect are. I feel like a 6-year-old boy. I'm so excited and enthused about this business and about the technology, because it's new, Dimitri. People haven't seen this technology before. So people are a lot of the audiences and consumers are used to seeing LED screens up on the side of shopping malls. They're used to seeing screens on the side of motorways, but they're not used to seeing this type of content being displayed on doors of elevators when they close. So it's very captivating. It's very, very captivating. And when you're standing in a lift like this, for example, let's face it, it's an awkward place to be. You know, you're standing there with a group of people in a lift, and you're looking at your shoes, and you're looking at the ceiling, you're looking at your watch. You know, you want to get out of the elevator. You don't want to be there any longer than what you have to be. And so with this, you know, you don't have to look at your shoes, you don't have to look at the ceiling, you don't have to look at your watch and feel awkward. You can stand there, and you can look at some really good content, nice video with sound, Dimitri. So obviously with the sound, it creates a very theatrical experience. So it's a perfect place to engage the consumers. It really, really is. I suppose what we've looking at the Irish and the UK market, just give you some stats, and you're quite right in the numbers that you've said. It's growing very, very quickly. So effectively, what's been happening is The number of elevators between Ireland and the UK at the moment is about 370,000 elevators. That's a lot of elevators. That's quite a significant amount.
You mean in Ireland or in UK?
In Ireland and the UK. So
all right.
So it's
all right.
it's growing very fast. So what's also been happening, particularly in Ireland and the UK, is the governments in terms of housing crisis don't want these big housing estates, residential housing estates being developed. What they want to do in terms of space is go up. So they're going with residential apartment blocks, and this is becoming widespread. So in the city of Dublin, in the city of London, when you look across the skyline, you see cranes, just cranes everywhere, building residential apartment blocks, and they're getting taller and taller and taller. And the governments of both countries have actually come out and said, this is how we need to go. We don't want to, what they call urban sprawl. We want to have these apartments, nice designed apartments going up. So what's happened as a result of that is lots of planning permission for residential, for commercial office spaces. And so after looking at other models, other countries, and with your very kind consideration and your help, which has been fantastic, what we're doing is we see a fantastic opportunity for two devices. One is obviously the mini lifter, the EI mini lifter, is to go into these spaces. It's very small, so it doesn't require a lot of work to install it. We're putting these devices into lifts, first of all, into the residential areas where you've got people, before they get to shopping malls, before they make that commitment, they're leaving their home, they're stepping into the elevator, they're seeing an advertisement on the elevator, and the recall from the advertisement in the elevator specifically is anywhere between 17 to 60%. So the engagement, because there's nowhere else to look, nowhere else to engage, is very significant. So when they leave that elevator, it's in their mind. They've seen this advertisement in the lift, and you've planted a seed. So the opportunity for the businesses and advertisers who are advertising on the doors are very, very powerful. And again, as I say, I suppose what we've again found, to answer your question, is it's improving the journey of the passengers in the lifts. So it's making for a nicer, more comfortable environment. And then what's also happening as well is that as I mentioned, it's a very new technology. So when people see it, their first impression is, what is this? I haven't seen this before. This is fantastic. This is great.
Do you know that we can broadcast a direct football match on the devices, meaning that we can connect these devices directly to the TV channels, and when people are in the elevators, then actually, that we have this power tool that recognize the gender of the viewers of this advertising. So actually, in some precise time, we actually can connect it to some TV channels through the RSS functions, and we can broadcast the games inside the elevators as well. So I think it's there's like there is a definition opportunity to see. So actually, we not only creating the opportunity to see, we actually creating the opportunities to follow up with the views. So people, who knows, maybe we can deal some nice products on the go with the Netflix, HBO, or other, or even sports channels, for example. Who knows? I think it's going to be very great exposure as well for those industries, because this way they.
No, you're quite correct, and that's quite interesting, Dimitri. It really is, and I think they're the boundless opportunities available. So, I mean, I'm just talking about residential. Obviously, we got commercial office blocks. You've got hospitality, hotels. You've got restaurants. You've got hospitals and general practice. You've got sports stadiums. It's endless. It's absolutely endless. And in all of these locations where you've got any more than 2 floors, you've got a lift. So to have a piece of this technology in that lift where not only can you advertise on the doors, you can then, following that advertisement, show, as you quite rightly just mentioned, have a unique opportunity to show the advertiser or the business, look how effective this was. Look at the stats that we have from this. Look at how many males looked at, how many females looked at, no, not really interested. Many males looked and said, yes, I'm really, really interested, you know? So, and
so actually what you're trying to say, you are about to start to offer to your customers as well the selling model of based on the, let's say, cost per view, so based on opportunity to see, right? It's not only that you're going to use those devices to sell the looped advertising, but as well you can charge them by CPM, so by CPV, the cost per view, right? So for
yes,
advertisers, it gives them much powerful analytics tools in terms of understanding how the let's say digital out of home campaigns how was the performance of digital out of home campaigns, and moreover you can provide this data to them. Am I correct? Because this is what I see, like what is more of our options of the software. Actually, it's already been in use in different locations, and I guess this is what you can as well offer to your customers. Am I correct?
100%. There's a saying that always rings true when I think of the technology for the EI mini lifter and the dual screen. And that saying is work smart, not hard. Okay.
Exactly.
So, and that's effectively what these devices are doing. It's going to the advertiser and the businesses with opportunities. So we can go to the likes of, for example, a L'Oreal as an example. And we can say to L'Oreal, okay, L'Oreal can say to us, we have this cream for 50-year-old men who have wrinkles under their eyes, and their age between 42 and 55. And we sell this product on the ground floor of the shopping center. So when I step into the lift with my wrinkles under my eyes and I'm looking at this advertisement, the device identifies my demographic as a 50-year-old male, hopefully a bit younger, with the wrinkles on his eyes. And then straight away, the message comes up to say, okay, well, 50-year-old L'Oreal face cream, ideal for 50-year-old men with wrinkles in their eyes, available on the ground floor. So the opportunity to target markets is incredible. And I suppose, given my history with my dad being in advertising 35 years ago, there wasn't really a case of, there wasn't targeted advertising. So the advertising was not relevant. Whereas now today, we can actually provide relevant targeted advertising. So it's not wasted time, it's not wasted resources. The return on investment for the advertiser based on these targeted campaigns is very real and very specific. And the uplift in sales, it can be, we have seen data that has come back to us to say uplift in sales has gone up to 70 to 80%, depending obviously on what's being advertised. So it really is, it's game-changing technology. And to furthermore add to that, in Ireland and the UK, in Ireland there's approximately 15 digital out-of-home advertising companies, very successful businesses.
All right.
And out of those 15, really only 3 of those companies are offering that type of analytics, those targeted campaigns or those views. So again, for a small business like VSDirect to have this type of technology and opportunity to present to the advertisers is fantastic. It's a very exciting place to be.
Thank you very much, Jason. Now I have a few questions related maybe to the business that currently you are running. All right. So how do you see your future plans of deployment of the advertising networks in elevators at your location? Are you going to offer the solutions, let's say, to the local media agencies and tell them, hey guys, let me provide you the technology. I will maintain and manage your the network, and you place the advertising, or you're gonna extend your own advertising in elevators advertising network as much as possible, and then rent out to the media agencies, or you're gonna sell the advertising by yourself through your media advertising network? What do you think will be the let's say, what will be your strategy in this way? Like, you want to rent out this elevators advertising networks, or you want to extend your own through the two countries? Can you elaborate a bit about this question?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So it's a good, very good question. So after quite a lot of pondering in terms of which route we go,
Yeah.
because with these devices we have so many different paths that we can take, and
Yeah.
the markets are very diverse and very different. So for VSDirect, because we're a brand and marketing solutions based business, we're already dealing directly with these end customers, these
Yes.
big clients, big brands. So what we're looking at effectively is as you've mentioned, is creating an advertising network in Ireland and the UK. And what's different to the advertising network that we're creating in comparison to others? The EI mini lifter and the dual screen. So we're using the devices as a USP to say to these brands, and we're doing this in two ways. We're doing it
Yeah.
directly through the clients that we work with directly, but what we are also doing is we're partnering up with some significant players in the Irish and the UK market. So
Yes.
they're already responsible for a very significant level of advertising purchasing in both countries. So they're working with us. So we have two models working at the moment. We've got our own brand model, which we're speaking to our customers directly with, that we're putting the devices in place with. And then we've also got our white label partner model, which we're also doing the same. Our partner models, our partner model, I should say, effectively are looking at one, providing us with advertising directly to advertising content in the locations that our clients that we deal with directly. And then also the other digital out of home advertisers we're partnering up with, again, to allow them to white label this for their own locations. So we've got those two models, which are, and what's quite interesting, Dimitri, is last year, and I don't want to mention the COVID word, I won't mention it again, but last year was a very difficult time for advertising.
Yeah.
So what happened, particularly in the Irish and the UK market, is you had the merging of different digital out of home companies. So, for example, there's two very good companies here in Ireland. One of them is called Ad Tower, and the other one is called Wide Eye Media. So what these companies did was they had a network of different locations. They brought it together, joined, and today they're one of the biggest Irish digital out of home network providers, where they have a footprint of over 1,000 locations.
Yes.
And what they're doing, very similar to, again, the EI mini lifter and dual screen, is they're offering data analytics. So they're giving back. They're very, very strong in terms of giving the feedback and the data back to the customer once the advertisement has played, so that so the next campaign can be a more targeted, focused campaign. So in terms of the markets, then obviously we're looking at, so we've got for better word, a proof of concept. And what we're doing is we've already launched in the retail sector in a number of shopping centres. And what we're doing at the moment is, over the next period of next 6 months, is putting these devices into retail, residential, commercial, hospitality. So effectively what it'll do is it'll give us two things. One, it'll give us a network of devices that we can come to the marketplace in 6 months' time to say, guys, we've got 100 locations. So now we're an advertising company. Will you please consider using us, obviously, in these locations? The second thing it's giving us is it's giving us the understanding in terms of understanding those markets. because
Hmm.
each of those markets are very different in terms of what they want, what they require, and also the business model that they're looking for. So why should they want this device?
Yes.
So it's giving us time to create those models before we fully go to market and launch it in Ireland and the UK. So basically, our homework is done. That's the idea behind it.
Yeah, yeah. I 100% understand you because we see it well from our end. More and more requests coming as well from the retail sector because people wants to use it in the retail, and the reason for that, this is what we can understand. Because look, we considering the digital out of home advertising market not just the advertising hardware and the software. We think this should be like a much higher philosophy than considering these three things. And when I'm talking about this philosophy, I'm talking about the human psychology. You know, every day when I'm walking from my home to my office, or when I'm riding my bike, driving a car, visiting shopping malls, residentials, whatever, I always trying to pay attention on how people actually react when they see this advertising on the screens. Either the screens or the projectors installed in the proper way, are they really reflecting the power of the brand, and what things are done precisely in considering the human psychology in the right way, and one what was done more in commercial way. And what I see for today, especially here when we're based in China, I'm not talking about Europe because in Europe I see more harmonized solutions, but let's say in China and some other regions that I've been visiting, and actually it's not doesn't related to the local brands, it's related to the international brands. Sometimes when the digital installations or digital networks done, uh, I understand the advertising power um, is not strong enough when the devices is not harmonized with the environment. Meaning that doesn't matter how good the content will be, even though the content is the king, but once it's broadcasted on some improper screen, or the quality of the screen is not good, or the location is not good enough, or the content is too much dynamic, people won't buy this product. They won't be able to recognize the power of this brand in it. And this is where we created the devices like Slim Dual and Mini Lifter, we were actually considering these options in order to deliver more comfortable way of people to absorb the information which they see on the screens. And we believe that projection light, the projection light itself, um, the source of light is much comfortable for the human eyes instead of just looking at the bright screen, whatever. And this is why, let's say for environment like elevators or retail, sometimes the bright light is not the best option to use, not only for advertisement, but as well for the products display, because we have to feel ourselves in a very cozy environment. Like for example, right now I am sitting here. You see, I have a wooden chair, a wooden table. I feel myself cozy, and definitely I can spend here hours of times, and I can purchase whatever as much as I want. And sometimes advertisers and the advertising networks, let's say marketing departments and the IT departments, they really forget about it, how to actually create this harmonize. I use this word, you know, this in China we use a lot of a word like harmony, harmonization, these kind of things. And I think in our industry everything should be as well harmonized. When the harmony is there, people are reacting to the advertising much better because it's talked first of all to their soul and to their mood. Once we can catch this mood and we can make them feel comfortable, not annoying, I think this is the best, this is a winning combination of how the advertising should look like in the future. It should becomes to be like a part of our life, not just something that annoys you every morning.
Yes.
And this is
Yeah.
exactly what we are trying to do here. Well, Jason, I think now it's your turn to tackle me with the questions. You know, it was me who was asking. Now I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm with you.
Is
Please
I
feel
suppose
free.
I have lots of questions. And you don't have enough time for my questions. So
So
I
at
suppose
least
one of
one
the
or two.
things.
Just shoot, just the bullet. Yeah, yeah.
So can I ask you in terms of
Mm.
it's very interesting from the Irish and the UK market, which I'm seeing in great detail now.
Yeah.
Thanks to yourself. and the difference of where, for example, China is placed in the digital out of home
Yeah.
industry and sector. Can I ask you, where do you see next steps for the global market? Where do you see digital out of home advertising going? And around what? Is it around technology? Is it around what you've just mentioned, i.e., the content being much more relevant and harmonized to give you that warm, fluffy feeling? Where do you see it going, Dimitri?
This is very interesting and very complicated question to answer, but I will try my best to do it in a few sentences. So, uh, um, when somebody tells me that advertising in China or advertising in India or United States is different, I think it's not different at all. Just the content is different, and the way of thinking of the marketeers is different. So if I'm looking, for example, for the North American market, when I see the digital out of home, I see the content is mostly goes to the high calls messages, like a short text, bright picture, something eye-catchy, emotional call to action message, and that's it. Europe, I think, is more calm in terms of delivering those messages, but as well, I haven't visited yet UK and Ireland yet. But what I saw, for example, from Amsterdam, you won't see too much high calls of advertisements like on the highways, on the buildings. So probably it's going to be cozy environment installations. For example, like I was really excited when I saw the Booking.com headquarters office in Amsterdam on the first floor. They actually, it's like open space office when everybody can just the past buyers that really can see what's going on inside this big office department of Booking.com. And I saw like Stella's or the big screens, 55 or 65 inch, with some call to action messages, and it was just white wordings on the yellow or the blue background, inviting you to use the Booking.com, for example. And it's super excited me because I saw this advertising is really comes very nice in and really fit the interior design, not only the office but as well as the city. So it doesn't really burns your eyes. It comes and it makes a beautiful feeling of understanding. Where I see in terms of this is about the content in China. If we're talking about the local brands, for example, of course, like in Asia, the advertising should be very screamy. It's like pumping, flying, and bright colors, pink, red, yellow, probably something related to the nature, to the culture story. But for the international brands, you won't see this kind of things happens too much. It's probably going to be kind of mixed combination between the Western culture and the Eastern culture. So it's going to be quite balanced, but still with let's say 40% West, 60% East. And this is how they will deliver the message. But it doesn't really, crashing your brain or crashing your eyes, like from seeing something which is unusual. But so if I'm asking this question in terms of content, this is how I can feel it. If I'm talking about the quality of the hardware, of course, the usage and in terms of cost and the price in Europe, United States is much higher price, even though most of the digital hardware has been manufactured in China or maybe assembled in China, for example. But you probably will see some indoor installations are much higher quality than you will find it here in China. Again, depends on which locations. In my perspective, if you're comparing which software in common use in Europe and in, let's say in China and Asia, probably Android is a leader. But for the robust solutions, for where we have to deploy a lot of analytics data and etc., probably Android wouldn't be the best option to implement with, because some data cannot be just run as an app on Android, and these Android devices should be precisely matched with the software. So from my perspective, I would rather prefer to work with more powerful solutions, like players which runs either on Windows or on Linux. But as well, what we are doing right now, when we develop our own Android system, Android chip and Android motherboard, then we can adopt the software just exactly as we want. But the market for today is flashed with different types of solutions. Most of them, someone wants to buy them on the cheaper versions. Of course, just for plain generic content, it doesn't matter. You can do it Android or Windows or whatever. But if you want to go beyond these options and really to deliver some robust solutions, then you have to tailor your solutions really precisely, because no other assembling factory in China, in Shenzhen especially, will never do this for you. So it's a big, big question who you work with. And this is why sometimes companies would rather prefer to develop their own devices and then maybe to assemble in China, instead of just buying like on the free hand, directly from Alibaba, because this is not exactly what people are looking for. So hardware, I think in China, people are improving. I mean, company system integrators improving with the hardware. This is for sure. I will see the LED big video walls, LCD video walls is getting better, but it's not the question to manufacturers, it's the question to the integrators. Sometimes they're trying to save some money on the great installations using some cheap materials. Brands investing a lot of money on installation, especially for retail, and sometimes it just doesn't work, because if there isn't integrators will not provide an after sales service support, probably this installation will just be a passive asset for the company. So what I see here in terms of services and understanding, probably when the company is mixed between East and West, the service level and the understanding of how the installation should be done will be better than just to take a local company. This is from what I see at this moment, because still, even to make a great digital signage installation, even with the elevators advertising, these things should be considered, how to make in a proper way and the beautiful way, because as I said, advertising will be absorbed better with the consumers when they see the great advertising content with the robust hardware device. And in China currently the situation starts to be changed for good. This is what I must say. Companies using better screens, they educate their on the ground teams for installation how to do it in a better way. And this is where we actually starting from this year to help to local media companies to integrate with our hardware devices, but it will come very, very soon. So we work on this very hard. But everything is growing, but there is a slight difference, of course, of understanding how digital signage looks like in China and overseas. Another thing, everybody's talking about the programmatic solutions and programmatic digital out-of-home advertising. I mean, right now on the West, it's already moves faster. I know that in Japan, South Korea, it becomes even more and more popular at this moment. In China as well, everybody's talking about, but it's still not very unified, because you will find different big companies, for example, like Baidu, they already started with their own programmatic solutions. JD as well was making some first pilot project with that. I cannot tell you that the results was good or bad, because we are not really involved yet in this business, but we do bring in right now the programmatic ad exchange platforms to China. We have good partners from east part of Europe. We have good partners from the APAC who are right now we're discussing with them our future cooperation. And one of our go-to markets, actually, we want to create the ad exchange, cross-border ad exchange platforms, where we will allow to our partners from overseas to advertise their products in China and vice versa from China to the overseas. Because we strongly believe that once that data somehow will be unified, it will give a lot of opportunities, not only to the big media companies, but as well as small, medium business to use more, let's say, in more different ways, the digital out-of-home advertising. Because from my understanding for today, why small and big business is small, medium business still not really using the digital out-of-home is just because of lack of understanding, a lack of knowledge, what are the best usage scenario for these types of advertising. And probably there is a big objection, I call this objection, when people might think that digital out-of-home advertising is expensive. In some ways, that's true. But once you understand that you have such a channels like advertising in elevators with the better geo-targeting positions, where better micro-targeting, I call for the different target audience, probably the budgets, if they will do the online advertising and digital out-of-home advertising in elevators, if they take the budget, it probably will be half cut, half for the online, half for the digital out-of-home in elevators. And the reason for that is that nowadays, due to the new cookies policies online and kind of a long way of doing the SEO on the online, adjusting your campaigns and trying to make the micro-targeting on your customers, somehow through the elevators, and this is what we strongly believe in, if you combine with the online advertising, you can get better, faster results when you want to deliver your message to the right audience. For example, if the supermarket, let's say in one of the districts of Ireland, of Dublin, sorry, have to push up some sales, I don't know, for tomatoes, for example, they have a special offer for tomatoes, definitely they won't do some online advertising for that. Instead, if you cover some great area of with the radius of 5 kilometers with all residential areas, you will have probably two options. Either you will use the Instagram, three options, I don't know, social media, but I believe they won't do this. They will print out some flyers and put some in a, like mailbox, but this, I think, way is getting more and more, just back to the 90s, probably it was still working, but maybe somehow it won't work anymore because it's still costly and a lot of work behind. Or you just can sign up with the numbers of elevators and projectors and maybe some advertising in lobbies, and you can immediately spread the word in those regions, because in this way you shouldn't catch the area which is far than let's say 5 or 10 kilometers radius from your store, which is already abnormal. Usually people, based on their daily behaviors, I mean, I'm not talking about the cities like New York, for example, Moscow, probably people, the most of their life activities, it happens in a radius of 5 kilometers from their home. It's really abnormal when somebody, I don't know, lives in the suburbs of the city and then every day have to spend 2-3 hours to go to the office. I mean, for the big cities, this is the situation. But as I see so far, and this is what I can hear from the news, even the companies like Microsoft, Facebook, and others, they already put this as a golden standard for the employees, that they allow them to work from home. So meaning that they don't have to travel to the headquarters every day, but and this once they realize that it's not, you don't have to spend such a long time for driving your car or taking the subway to reach your office. You can build up all your life activities based on your environment. So in this case, on location targeted advertising, I think, is the best place to be. Of course, again, if we're talking about Nevada state, for example, when you have to drive your car, like, I don't know, 30 miles just to buy cigarettes or a chocolate in some supermarket, probably it will not be the best option. But with the high capacity cities, it doesn't matter. Big city like Tel Aviv in Israel, for example, the small, it's like 250,000 citizens, but it's centralized and have a lot of satellites with other small cities. When the center becomes to be almost for 2.5 million people. So my answer was long, but I think it was satisfying.
Yeah. No, and thank you very much. I really enjoyed it, because one of the interesting pieces that you mentioned on the programmatic piece is in the UK last year, programmatic advertising increased 246%, Dimitri. So yeah, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Wow. And Ireland is generally is not as advanced as what the UK are, but the advertising market is definitely changing very significantly. So just as a quick example, so static advertising and digital advertising, the price difference between the purchasing of those cycles.
How the price difference? I'm always curious about it. Can you share a bit this info, if you can, of course. I know it's
the small bit I know. What's starting to happen is there's a lot of questions being asked to why the price of digital out-of-home advertising is actually so cheap in comparison to static advertising. when digital out-of-home advertising is far more productive and there's a much greater return on investment than what static advertising is. So what's starting to happen is there's a lot of conversation that's happening between the advertisers, the advertisers, the brands, say, well, we need to put the prices up. If you want static advertising, that's fine, and that works. But if you want what works, you have to pay for it. So I think with the programmatic advertising, certainly it's even here in Ireland, there's a number of companies now who are starting to use it more and more. But it's a very exciting place to be. But again, as you say, it's very, very interesting. I just have one more question, if I might. One of the I've searched Dimitri for 5 years, 6 years for something unique, something different, something that's captivating, that we can bring to our clients, and effectively give them a solution. And the EI Mini Lifter and the EI Dual Screen was that solution. And when I look at the current marketplace, and we have installed 40 square meter LED digital screens in shopping centres. We would currently manage a network of about 450 locations.
Right.
Deploying content weekly, monthly, and we look after all of the devices as well. And one of the things that's always occurred to me is, with LED screens in particular, whether that be for indoor spaces or outdoor, the level of work required. So, for example, planning permission for an LED screen, groundworks for electrical cables. So the lead time to market can be anywhere up to 2 to 3 to 4 months, if not more. The cost to put it in place can be 10 times, if not more, than a projection-based solution. So what my question to you is that, do you believe with the simplicity, and I know it's not simple, there's a lot of smart AI going on in the background, do you believe with projection-based business, projection-based advertising, that projection-based systems will make more ground and become more commonly used and replace LED screens?
For me, it's hard to believe it will happen, because I think screens and projectors, they have something in common. Both of them are for use or in use to entertain, to deliver some messages, but I believe that probably the third technology will interfere with our lives very soon. When I say interfere, this will be the right way probably to tell that, but it's not on a bad way saying this. I think the transparent, the holographic advertising will be much more popular than the projectors or the LCD screens, because as you just mentioned, all the big LED screens, it requires a big maintenance, a huge maintenance, and it's very cost, and you have to maintain, you have to change, replace all the models and so on. With projectors, somehow you have to create the right environment to achieve the right projection results. With holographics, I think probably it will be one of the great user scenarios. Like, for example, I'm a big fan of the computer gaming, for example, like Cyberpunk. So when you really see that something in the air and it's transparent and it's really easy and it doesn't really affect your daily life, I think this might be the next future of all advertisements, and not only because it goes without saying that the facilities, the square meters that people are using daily, especially in the big cities, is narrowing. If you look on Hong Kong, for example, or New York, to rent such a big screens is super expensive idea. I mean, and some media companies paying for that. If you look on the Times Square in Hong Kong or Times Square in the United States, is a kind of biggest showroom for all the LED manufacturers. This is where everybody is making money of it, and of course, it's a great exposure. But I do believe that the third types of technologies, once it will reach the level of reliability and the level of simple usability is probably will be the next step for the advertising solutions. I mean, if we're talking about the digital out of home, of course, it will replace as well the future screens that we're using at home, because they still take some place, and you have to put a lot of cables. Sometimes it's not even one electric cable. So it will go more and more again, combined with the environment, interior environment, and usability. So far, I think the biggest problem with these transparent holographic displays is just the source of light, of course, and technology which actually can holograph all the images with the right colors transitions. But it's just a matter of time. I think, Xiaomi Corporation, for example, they already, I'm not talking about the screens, but they already launched, and they do the finalizing the first prototype of the huge wireless charger station, which can charge up to 10 electric devices in your house, for example, remotely. I'm talking about this TV stations, mobile stations, computers, and they just need to be equipped with a special transmitter. I think, I don't know exactly the name of it, but I think it's kind of an electric transmitter which actually transmit the electric waves into the special radio waves, which the charger station in a TV station, for example, can, from these electric waves, can charge the battery of or provide the electricity to the TVs. So once these solutions will be solved, I think it will give a big through as well to our industry where we are. So, maybe in 10 years, what we're doing right now, we can put it in a museum and say, okay, this is how we started, this is where we are right now. Jason, I think we spoke over 1 hour. I think it was great. It was great talk. Thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you very soon. I think the air gates will be open very soon. This is what we can learn and hear, that maybe Hong Kong will be the first one who will be open, but I assume that China mainland will be open very soon as well. Let's hope for the good. Thank you very much for not mentioning anything about the COVID, because I think it was a big topic for the last year. Everybody was discussing. We keep positive, we look bright for the bright future, and let's move forward. Thank you very much. I wish you a great day ahead. I hope you had a coffee, because I did my coffee, lunchtime coffee. Yeah. Okay. Let me work on. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it. It's good to see you. And can I just say one quick comment, which is really important?
Yes.
Nico is standing beside you. Would you send on my apologies for texting him at 11:30 his time at night, looking for support?
Nico is here. You see, he's waiting for you. Yeah. All right. No problem. I know the new things are coming every time, and we're updating the system, and we're getting more features into the system. And of course, it might come. So even for us, sometimes when we do the line up with the weekly meetings with our software developers teams, we're learning something new. So it's okay. It's meaning that we're pushing things forward. We don't never stop on something that we've done, and we continue. Jason, let me work on the video a few days, then I'm going to share with you. You can download it and share with your channels, to your customers, friends, and of course, we are in touch. Thank you very much for your instant support. Bye-bye. Ciao.
You're very good. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.